Well, yeehaw! It's Wild West Wednesday here on Newsmax TV's Liquid Lunch. I'm Frank Moreno, sitting in for John Tobacco. And on Wild West Wednesdays, we go west to check in with the crypto cowboys, Drew Taylor and Brent Bates, the co-hosts of the Wild West Crypto Show. Gentlemen, how are things in Texas? Is it true everything's bigger out there?
I have to tell you, Frank, things are going well. The only thing we're missing on the set, though, is Question Tequila, buddy.
Trust me, I am more than making up for it on the East Coast. There's plenty of Question being consumed. Now, a lot of our viewers are still wondering what to make of cryptocurrency, especially a lot of our older viewers. I'll begin with you, Drew. They hear the term Bitcoin, and some of them maybe know that it's a thing, but very few of them are actually using Bitcoin or any cryptocurrency to buy things on a daily basis. However, almost all of them are on Facebook. Now, Facebook is diving headfirst into the cryptocurrency business with Libra. Tell us what happened this week and what is Libra and why this is important.
I will tell you, and I'll dive into this and then let Brent, pontificate a little bit. But the bottom line is, as a cryptocurrency on a blockchain, Libra does not at all represent what the intention of Bitcoin, a decentralized ledger that is global where anyone in the world can participate. What they are doing, it's kind of lipstick on a pig, where they've created what they're calling their cryptocurrency, but it's a pretty centralized, and there's like 35 players, although a bunch of them have fallen out. Now, the good news, as far as I'm concerned in the crypto space, is it's getting cryptocurrency and blockchain on the lips of almost everyone out there because, like you said, everyone has Facebook.
Frank, it's kind of like the rats are leaving the ship, just to give it a kind of a deal. And obviously, what you have to look at is the people that are leaving. Those are the ones that really were trying to get blockchain and the benefits of blockchain integrated into their present business model. And the problem is blockchain is so transformative, it's very difficult for the big fintechs and the big banks and so on and so forth to integrate a true blockchain, true decentralized ledgers into their business plan. And so I totally agree with Drew. It's great that people are talking about it. It has people thinking about cryptocurrencies. My 90-year-old dad calls this my invisible money show. And then I always point out to him that his money's invisible too. So it's been a good week, actually, in regards to Libra, from our opinion.
All right. So now, gentlemen, just so you're aware, what I'm being told is that we're unable to see you. We can only hear you, and you guys sound great. You guys sound better than most of the guests that we could see do. So what we're doing is I'm putting up a stick figure of both of you with the cowboy hat above the stick figure. Oh, sorry, we just spilled some Punzoni vodka, so apologies to the good folks over at Punzoni. But so when those guys are talking, just zoom in on these stick figures, and then we'll get the cowboy hat above them. Now,
we look great on this end because we can see ourselves in our own computer.
Oh, wonderful.
We haven't looked better.
Wonderful. Now,
in fact, we don't even need tequila to look this good.
Let me ask you this, gentlemen. Peter Thiel, we know him. He's a Silicon Valley billionaire. He's very, very cutting edge. He seems to be somebody that has bought into the whole cryptocurrency revolution. What is happening with respect to Peter Thiel and cryptocurrency this week?
I tell you what, this was really interesting news that came out yesterday. And that is, as much as China talks about not liking cryptocurrencies and they're banned in their country and everything else, they by far manufacture and do more mining than anyone else in the world. Chinese do, okay? A lot of it's underground, and I mean, it's a really interesting dynamic. They're over there manufacturing all this stuff saying they don't support or believe it. But what Peter Thiel has done, and he's a PayPal fame and a variety of other things, tends to be, quasi-libertarian. What he's doing is they raised $50 million, and Brent asked the questions, how do you raise $50 million and all of a sudden you have a $200 million valuation? But they've raised $50 million with a layer one system, because one thing that mining does, and basically mining is a term that is used that is affirmation or confirmation of transactions in the crypto space. So it's further verification that the transactions are real, and they call that mining. But mining burns a lot of electricity. And so what Peter Thiel is doing, he's leading a group saying, we're going to set up wind power in West Texas where it costs almost nothing to generate, and we're going to beat the Chinese in mining, and that's a huge statement.
Well, so what does that mean for people that are buying into cryptocurrencies as an investment? Is this a good time to buy because Peter Thiel's getting involved, or is this kind of an indication that there's a little bit of pushback on the environmental front to things like Bitcoin mining? What does this mean to those of us, not those of us because I'm not investing in it, but people that are investing into Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies as an investment tool?
Well, here's the thing you have to realize, and one of the reasons we called our show the Wild West Crypto Show is in crypto, it's kind of the Wild West. I mean, we're bringing law and order to a new industry, but because it's a new industry, because it's so embryonic, you have a lot of deviation from any kind of standard. But what you do have to step back and look, in fact, Weiss Reporting has done a really good job of creating some fundamental reports, and they go back and they look at the overall level of adoption, the number of big companies that are getting into it, the number of countries that are embracing it. Unfortunately, the U.S. isn't embracing it fast enough, in our opinion. But all the things that lead to adoption, and basically this is another one. We do not want to have China be the only people doing mining. And to further describe mining, you know, whenever there's a transaction, in the old securities day, it was T+3. You'd make a trade, and then in 3 days, the trade would settle. I'd get my money or stock, and you'd get your money or stock, depending on which end of the transaction we are. Well, in cryptocurrency, that trade and settlement happens in a matter of minutes. And the reason it happens in a matter of minutes is there are very high-speed computers using algorithms and an ever-evolving open-source code to settle out whether you had the money and the other person had the Bitcoin, or whether you had Ethereum and the other person had Litecoin, or whatever the transaction is between coins or fiat, to be able to settle whether both parties had it. And guess what? That's very, very important to the sanctity and to the transparency and to the cost effectiveness of cryptocurrency. Now, I don't know, they picked West Texas because it's already hot out there. So if they're using a bunch of energy and a bunch of high-speed computers, they're not adding anything to the heat source. However, we are involved with and having some discussions with some people that are trying to take that energy and recycle that heat to do other things with it. All of these things are great for the overall industry.
All right. Well, it's good to know. Gentlemen, very quickly, if people want to check out the Wild West Crypto Show, how can they do that?
They can go to wildwestcryptoshow.com, or you can go to our YouTube channel where you can see our mugs on there every week, man. And you know, Frank, I will tell you very quickly, our claim to fame, we interview every week different ones of the world's foremost experts in the industry. So kind of what elevated us to the level that we're at is there's hundreds of interviews of the smartest people on the planet in the crypto and blockchain space on our shows.
And the other thing is we make sure to kind of boil it down to where our redneck buddies can kind of understand it, because some of this stuff is in the clouds, and unfortunately, you know, some people like to talk in acronyms that the average person doesn't understand. We try and bring it down to the road where even our redneck buddies can understand it.
Well, that's certainly refreshing. I may not be a redneck, but I certainly have the same difficulty understanding more than the simplest financial terms. Gentlemen, we'll check in with you next week. It's always a pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Frank.
Have a great day.
Coming up next, we may or may not go to John A. Tobacco Jr. from Florida, but you can bet that we'll either talk to John Tobacco or Pavlina Asta coming up next. This is Liquid Lunch on Newsmax TV. I'm Frank Morano, sitting in for John Tobacco.